Greetings, greetings, greetings. My name is Reggie. Again, I introduced myself at the beginning of service, and I told you how I'm on staff in man's ministry here at Shepherd. But I also, some of you may know, I also, in my spare time, preach, and I'm a pastor at a different congregation. And so we wanted to give that background before we continue on in this series so that you all don't think we're just randomly picking people to preach on a Sunday. We're not doing that. There's no hat that we all put our names in, and you can't just walk up to Jeremy and be like, hey, can I preach next Sunday? We're not doing it that way. So since I am a pastor at another congregation, they've asked me to come speak by myself without my father, Jeremy, here today. And so today we're going to continue on in our Beatitudes series. We're talking about peacemakers. And further background, again, some of you may know this. I am married to a lovely wife, and I have 3 wonderful boys. Some of you all, that's your favorite part about me. You love my wife, you love my kids. Me, but that's okay. That's all right. As long as you say I did a good job today, we're friends. We are friends. Like I said, we're in the Beatitudes. Last week, Jeremy talked about, of course I forgot. I paid attention. I read it. I listened. He talked about being pure in heart. And these Beatitudes, if we live by them, it so changes our lives. And it puts us at a whole different place. And so, these Beatitudes are not things that sometimes society or culture or our own human nature want us to be. Sometimes we don't want to be pure in heart. Sometimes we want to have evil ways. Sometimes we don't want to be peacemakers. Sometimes we want actually to create some violence because people are irritating. This is one thing we want to start off by recognizing. People are irritating. And if you say they're not, I think you're being dishonest, because if you are honest with yourself, you're irritating. I'm a very humble person. I recognize that I am vastly irritating. You don't believe me? Ask my wife. She'll be here later. You can ask her and she'll be like, yes, he is. So it's a truth that people are actually really irritating at sometimes. Sometimes they can really make you not think about. Sometimes there are people, you'll see their face, and there is no thought of peace in your mind. It's true. And though they may be true, we're still called to be peacemakers. So let's go. Let's start off by going to Matthew and reading the Beatitude for today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. If you come from a family that you're pretty proud of, sometimes, again, we're talking about real life today, so we're not going to pretend that every family is great. Sometimes we have hard family lives. But if you've ever seen someone who's come from a family they're really proud of, they kind of flaunt their family name. They puff their chest out because this is who I belong to. Do you know my dad? And sometimes they do it in the wrong way. And like, I don't care, your dad's not here. So can you order, please? But when you come from a good family, just the fact that you're in that family has such a blessing to it. There's a blessedness to being in that family. And so we're called to be peacemakers. And when we're called, and as we're peacemakers, we show the world that we're in the family of God, that we're his children. And again, we all have different family backgrounds. We all have different experiences. But no matter how bad or good your father was, God is an even greater one. And so just to be called a child of God in and of itself is a blessing. But we're not only called to be peacemakers here in the Beatitudes, but throughout the New Testament, we see times where we're called as children of God, as sons and daughters of God, to make peace with people. And again, it's not always easy because people are very irritating. Sometimes people seem to be bent on making violence and war with you. There are people who seem to want nothing more to make you unhappy. But we're not called to care about what's going on with them. Let me rephrase that. We're not called to get the end result with them. We're called to do our part. So regardless of how they are, God's concerned about how we will be. So let's go on to the New Testament. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. And it says, make every effort to live in peace with everyone. Make every effort. Our focus isn't on what they've done or what they will do. Our focus is on what we're called to do. So if they fight you at every turn, you make every effort. If you're sure they're not going to say yes, you make every effort. It's not about what they do. It's about what we're called as children of God to do. And to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows to cause trouble and defile many. The other blessing of being a peacemaker. See, the ways of God are beautiful because they are about other people. But even as they're about other people and as they're about God, they're also about you. Because if you're making peace, it's really hard to be bitter. But if you sit in that hostility, if you sit in that irritance, if you sit in reflecting on what they've done wrong and how they're not right and what they've done to you, it's really easy to get bitter. And I don't care. There's nothing quite as painful as bitterness. Again, the blessing, one of the blessings of being a peacemaker is that it keeps you safer from being bitter. I'm a married man, like I said many times, because again, he's one of you all's favorite things about me. I get it. I'm humble enough to recognize we have 5 of us. I'm the 5th most important person in my family. I get that. But as a married man, I also have a relationship. When you have a relationship with someone for longer than 3 weeks, you start to irritate each other. And sometimes you're right, sometimes they're right. But if you only focus on the times you're right, it's going to be real easy to get bitter. It's going to get real easy to look at that person, and every time they do anything, you draw back to mind what they've already done to you. And you get bitter, and you get bent out of shape, and you almost begin to hate that person. And that's true in marriage, that's true with friends, that's if anyone's done any type of serving in the church, that's true in the church. People will hurt you. That's going to happen. People will do you wrong. Several weeks ago, Pastor Sam made this point that I loved, that even if 99% of it is their fault, there's still a role we play. So there may be situations where 99% of it is their fault, but there's something we still have to do, and that's make every effort. Because even if they're all the way wrong, your role is to try to make peace so that you don't have a bitter root grow up. Let's continue on Romans. I want to really hit on these points. That's why I have these 2 scriptures back to back. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live with peace with everyone. As far as it depends on you, whatever they're doing, that's not what we're concerned about. Because the more you focus on them, the easier it is to not want any type of peace. See, we have a way of oftentimes glorifying ourselves, recognizing the ways in which we're the victim. So if we're looking at what they've done against us, it's real easy to think that you're high and mighty and you're righteous. And again, sometimes an objective viewer would be like, yeah, no, you're right. But we're not called to be concerned about how they will act. We're called to look at how we're acting. So as far as it depends on you, we're supposed to live at peace. And the world almost seemed to determined to be chaotic. And why are we supposed to love that? Because we're supposed to be like our Father God. Let's go to Luke chapter 6. But love your enemies. Do good to them and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great. And you will be children of the Most High because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. There's going to be a refrain that comes up soon. We're not going to go there yet, but to help us frame and recognize it's not as, even though it's not easy, it doesn't have to be super hard to make peace. Because we have to be rooted in the truth that our Father, He's merciful. And we can see that in all of creation, the way He deals with people who hate Him, who defile His name, who will never come to Him. He blesses them with food. He blesses them with shelter. He is good to those who are unjust and wicked. So that's why when we're peacemakers, we're like him, our Father. Not concerned about what did they do against me, but we're concerned about what am I doing. So let's go to our refrain. And this is going to pop up a few times throughout the sermon to help us kind of center ourselves in the ability to make peace. We have peace through Christ. So that's the entry. If you don't have peace with God through Christ, it's going to be really hard to be a peacemaker. You want to know why? Because you're not at peace. But because we have peace with God through Christ, we're able to have peace in Christ. We're able to have peace knowing that Christ is for us, that he can equip us, that he can build us up to do the things that us in our natural state could never do. And that the peace that we have through Christ transformed us. And because of that peace through Christ and that peace in Christ, we can make peace. And again, that's because of Christ. So while we don't want to focus on what other people are doing, we want to focus on what he has done. Because when we focus on what he has done, it makes it easier for us to do the right thing. I laugh when they ask me to preach about peacemaking, because that's something in my life I found myself having to do a lot of. At some of my jobs, before I went full-time in ministry, my supervisors and bosses, they loved me because they said I could make peace with a lot of people. And sometimes I'd be in jobs where for years there was so much hostility and bitterness and anger and misunderstandings. But they liked me to work there because I was able to kind of bridge some of those gaps. See where people were hurting, see where people were, and love them there. And this is not me tooting my own horn, because like I said before, all of us are imperfect people who get things wrong and who are annoying. But the more we recognize that truth, the more we can give mercy to someone who's like that. Yeah, maybe they're not annoying in the way we are annoying, but maybe they're not falling short in the way that we fall short. See, when we fall short, it's us, so we can give ourselves grace. But when they did that, no grace for them. They should have known better. How did they not know? How did you not know? How did you keep living in that mistake time and time again, but now when they do it, you want to hold them against a higher standard? So again, the reason we're able to make peace is because we have to be honest with ourselves and be honest with how we're at the place we are. That if you are living better, if you are kind, it's not because you were such a great person, but it's because of the peace that God has made with us through Christ. Let's go to Colossians. Through him, to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. So God, through Christ Jesus, has made peace. He's reconciled everything to him again. Through his blood shed on the cross. Once you were alienated from God, and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. Next verse. But now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. You were his enemies. You were evil in your behavior. You were alienated. But God did not see who you were and hold that against you. Instead, through Christ Jesus, he made peace with you, not when you were good, not when you were in his reign, but when you were hostile, when you were an enemy, when you were evil. He made peace with you, and because of that peace, he's now made you reconciled. Because of that peace, from your evil behaviors, he's now made you without blemish. Not because of who you are and how great you are, but because of the work of Christ. And now you are free from accusation. So again, that's what we have to start with. If we're trying to make peace, if we're trying to live in peace, we have to start with the work God has done through Christ Jesus. And we have to be humble enough to recognize he didn't call you, he didn't pull you, he didn't grab you, he didn't love on you and show you the way when you were already in his family. You were wicked. You were a mess, and we're honest enough to say sometimes we're still a mess. So if God, who is perfect in everything, can look at the people he made, who rebelled against him, who hated his ways, who do evil constantly. He is so loving to be able to bridge that gap and make peace to those who are hostile. It becomes a little, if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes we're not honest with ourselves, and that's the problem. But if we're honest with ourselves, it becomes a little bit easier to step into that peace with someone else. So let's pull up our refrain again. We have peace through Christ. We have peace in Christ. And we make peace because of Christ. Again, this is to help us to realize we don't have to jump over this great mountain. But if when we keep ourselves on the foundation of the truth of this gospel of Jesus Christ, that the bulk of the work was done already. There's no gap that's bigger than God and man. Again, I don't care how pious we feel we are. I don't care how immaculate we think our behavior is. The gap between you and your neighbor is like this. The gap between God and man. So we have to be rooted in the fact that we have peace only because of God through Christ Jesus. And again, since we're no longer his enemies, but we're his family, we can have peace in Christ. Let's go to Hebrews. Now may the God of peace, who through the blood of the eternal covenant brought back from the dead our Lord Jesus, that great shepherd of the sheep, equip you with everything good for doing his will. And may he work in us what is pleasing to him through Jesus Christ, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. Who through the blood of the eternal covenant equip you. It's hard. Again, we have peace because of Christ. And we're able to live in that peace. But it's hard to have peace inside of you. It's hard to allow God to make peace in you if you're his enemy. Earlier today, I talked about how my wife recently had some surgery around her eye. And so before they did the surgery, they had to sedate her. Want to know why? Anybody who's ever been poked probably knows why. That when someone pokes you, even if you know they're going to poke you, your body wants to swat it away. That if someone's by your face or touching you in any way, you're going to want to move, especially with your eye. I don't care if you know that, okay, they're helping me. If they're doing something to you that you don't naturally like, you're going to swat them away. So before they could help her, before they could help heal her, they had to make peace with her in a way. They had to sedate her. They had to alleviate that barrier that would cause that violence, that caused that back and forth. And so God makes peace with us so that he can work in us. Because if you're constantly rejecting him and constantly pushing him away, it's going to be hard for him to work in you. So again, he first has to make peace with you. So that the peace of the truth of your relationship, your new status is in you. And that work that was done on the cross equips you to be like our example, Christ. Because if it seems hard to make peace, we have to remember that we have an example in Christ Jesus. That he was the one who was perfect. But he still bore our imperfections on him. So again, while we're not looking at what people are doing, we have to look at what Christ has done. If we really want to make peace with other people, because if the more we look at them, the more irritated we will get. The person that's always on your, how come you don't do this? You can do this better. The person who hurt you in a deep and dark way, where you don't even know if you can trust again, but the more you look at them, the more you get bitter. The more you look at him, the more you're able to hold on to a truth that's stronger than anything they've done. Because Christ is our example. If you don't believe me, let's go to Hebrews. Let's go back there. Chapter 12, verse 3. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of the shedding of blood. That's why we have to look at Christ, because we remember that he was down here. And he had some people who did not want to make peace with him. They accused him, they beat him. And yes, we go through stuff, and I'm not making it light of the things we go through, because the things we go through, sometimes they're heavy and hard, and sometimes it feels like you're gonna break and that you wanna give up. But again, the more we look at him, the more we realize he knows what that's like. In fact, he went so far as to literally die for you. When if we were looking at kind of a legal court system, he would have been fine in saying, I am pure and innocent. Get me off this thing. But no, he endured. He was so willing to make peace with so many people who were so hostile against him. And so looking to him as our example, it helps us to not grow weary, because even when, pardon me, my prepubescent beard is kind of rubbing the microphone. I finally am a man now, so that's getting in the way. But when we look at what he's done and how he stood so faithfully in the midst of unwarranted hostility. Yeah, the pain's still there, but it helps us realize I can do this through Christ Jesus. Because the situation I'm facing is nothing in comparison. 1 Peter 2, verse 21 and 23, it pulls out even more what Christ literally went through. To this you were called, because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow his steps. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. Let's pop up the next verse. Thank you. When they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. Christ, he suffered to make us right with God, but in his suffering, he also gave us an example that when they are legitimately wrong and doing horrible things to you, how do I act? Because it's easy to want to act how you want to act. When they're calling you all types of just names and saying this all about you behind your back and telling your family members how bad you are, messing with you at work and you want to give them you want to say, you want to know how I feel about you? Huh? I know you're not, and we want to give it all to them because they've hurt us. We want to sometimes show them how strong we are. Oh, you think you're so tough? Well, you're this and you're that. But that's not what Christ did. And if anyone was ever in the history of humanity justified, he would have been justified. But willing to be our example, he said, no, not going to retaliate. And when he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judged justly. That's what we have to do. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, I will repay. So we don't seek our own vengeance because I trust the Father, who is the righteous judge. So I don't care if it seems like you're getting away with it. I don't care. Because my trust is not in you. My trust is in the righteous judge doing what is right. So let's go back to our refrain. We have peace through Christ. We have peace in Christ. We can make peace because of Christ. Again, he is our example, but he's also our priest. Hebrews 4 lets us know that we have a high priest who can understand what you're going through, that he himself suffered like we did. So he understands what it feels like when people are getting on your nerves and you want to say something so bad. And sometimes you want to do something so bad. You want them to hurt as much as they made you hurt. He understands that. So as our example and as our priest, we're actually able to go to him. Again, it's not super easy. It's not. But we don't have to do it ourselves. We didn't make peace with God by ourselves. No, he did it. We didn't put peace in ourselves. No, God did it. So when it comes to making peace, even though we're called to do it, we don't have to do it by ourselves. We can go to God in prayer. That when you don't want to make peace, you can say, God, I don't want to make peace. And God, I don't like this. God, I hate this person. Help me. God, I'm hurting. I can't. Every time I see their face, I almost want to help me. in Christ who has gone through more than we could ever imagine. Not only does he know us, but he also wants to help. And we in this community, we also want to help. So we're going to have a time of prayer. The band's going to come up. We're going to have some music playing. You can worship. You can also pray. We're going to have some people on the corners, and I'll get their names in a second. But before we get there, I want to pray a prayer over us that reminds us of the truth. 2 Thessalonians 3:6. And this prayer is a beautiful one to me because it keeps us covered in so many ways. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times in every way. At all times in every way. The Lord be with all of you. And so, as the music plays, you can come up to the corners and receive prayer. We're going to have Hannah Gartner and myself offering prayer, but then also just take some time in prayer. Take some time to talk to God. And maybe it's not peace that you're really needing, but whatever you need, you can go to God in prayer. Whatever you need, Christ knows. So as the music plays, worship, pray. And again, if you need prayer, Hannah and I will be at the corners to offer prayer. Be blessed. And amen.